I wanted to quit all the time. I was hated. Friends hated me. People would slander me. People would slam doors in front of me. People chased me down the street. I felt hated all the time. And I often thought of quitting.
As a female para-athlete, I feel like I'm constantly battling and pushing down barriers every single day. And so my ambition is to shatter those barriers and those norms and prove people wrong.
I always felt like coaching staff would be like, you want to prove you're worthy of like having the spot. You want to prove that like you are as good as the guys. Whereas it's like, why are we always comparing females' sports to males? It's like apples to oranges. It's always like a question, like, are you worthy of this? Like, do you deserve this? Prove it.
A lot of girls feel like there's not a lot of opportunity to play a sport. And sometimes, in certain communities or programs, a lot of the time they are geared to men or boys specific sports. I remember in elementary school, I was on the boys soccer team because we didn't have a female soccer team, and I was lucky enough to be allowed to even try out for the soccer team at the time.
So most people know me as that little girl who wanted to play hockey with the boys. I grew up in a family where, girls had girl sports, so figure skating and dance and gymnastics. But my brother, who's born in the same year, played hockey, and I was so jealous. I wanted the attention that he was getting playing hockey, and I was not getting in the girls' sports at that time. So I asked my parents, can I play hockey? You can play hockey. And of course they said, no, girls don't play hockey. So I whined a lot, and finally my mom found me a hockey team to play for, and I started to practice with my brother and go to hockey schools. And it didn't take long for me to realize that my brother, born in the same year, got way more than I did when he played boys hockey and I played girls hockey. If you played hockey with the guys, you got twice as many games, twice as many practices. You got jerseys and leather jackets and hockey bags. So there was way more sponsorship and therefore way more ice time. Coaches had way more training, and the ice time was in the middle of the day. When I was practicing with the girls, we practiced outside at 6 a.m. I remember putting my mom's coat on top of my hockey equipment with a hat on top of my helmet, freezing, trying to practice with the girls. So I started a letter to the newspaper saying, somebody help me, I want to play with the guys, I want more. And I want body checking, which is not in girls hockey. So finally found a lawyer and started a court case to win the right so that girls can play hockey at the highest levels if they're good enough, strong enough, tough enough, and make the team.
My name is Hannah, and I play ringette. It was invented in 1963. At that time, there was not really female hockey availability for women, so it was kind of created as a sport to fill that gap. Playing a sport that is only female kind of had people question if I was an athlete a lot of the time. Definitely people make comments about my athleticism or abilities, or if I get to call myself an athlete. I do feel like gender and being a woman and playing a women's sport was always something that was like hanging over top of the sport. It was like, yeah, they're doing this, but they're a woman, or like, but it's a female sport. It's a non-contact sport. So I think part of the discussion was that like, we're not tough, we're not persevering, because there was that rule in there to like protect us because we're like women and we're delicate.
My name is Emma, and I played soccer. In university, I played D1, and I played in the Big East. It was so frustrating as a female athlete to like be excluded from the nicer gyms because men's were like a priority at the school. And all the weights, they were designed for a male's hand. So all the bars were too thick for us to like hold with our smaller features. So we would often have to go down a weight because we couldn't physically pick up the bar and the weights themselves. I think we took a lot more abuse than men would ever, because we're told to be nice.
I was watching a women's high jump final at the World Championships last summer in Oregon, and the commentators were specifically talking about how the woman that was in first was so fortunate to have these like amazing long legs. When referring to the men, it was more talking about just like how athletically capable they were. And I thought it was interesting, that comparison and contrast of seeing the emphasis on like the body versus like the person. Something that I've noticed over the years is not necessarily about my disability making me feel different, but my actual body in itself making me feel different from other women in sports specifically. You know, I've always been, you know, on a little bit of the thicker side. I gain muscle really easily, but, you know, I don't have like a shredded six-pack abs like some other athletes might. I thought you needed this like certain physique and this certain look to be really fast. But then I slowly learned over time that you don't need to look a certain way to perform at your optimum. It's not about, you know, how shredded you are or how physically strong you look. If you are strong, then you're strong.
When I coach, I always say this. Parents are always like, oh, I want my kid to be a star, or like, I want them to be the best they can be. And I'm like, I want them to have fun. Because when you take out the fun in women's sports, it's a chore to us. Like, we have so many chores to do already. So like, let us have fun.
I actually won my court case in 1987, and I was allowed to play hockey with the boys. So exciting. At that time, the feminist was a F word, right? Like, it was a negative connotation, and I wasn't sure, you know, if I wanted to be a feminist, but I had other feminists around me that were cheering me on, and I'll be forever grateful.
I really see a future where all sports of like all genders are represented at the same level, because there really is that demand. It's not that thing anymore where you can kind of say, well, like, no one wants to see that, because definitely people want to see those things and they want to see women playing sports. And I'm surprised we don't have it yet.
My biggest piece of advice is just find what fuels your fire and find what fuels your passion, that fuels that part of yourself that wants you to keep pushing and pushing every day, even when things are hard, when you feel like giving up. Even when I'm here running repeat 200s on the track and I'm collapsing at the end of a workout, questioning all of my life decisions, but I'm like, that was still really fun. When you just find that thing that makes you really happy and you love what you do, don't let anybody else take that away from you.
My court case was amazing for women's hockey. Women's hockey grew exponentially since then. Huge amount of media support. And since then, we've got nationals and you know, the Olympics, which is amazing. So women's hockey has flourished. I'm an optimist, so I believe that women's sport in general is getting better and better. There are more and more female athletes. There's more and more acceptance of muscles for females, you know, that they don't just have to be slim and toned. So even the images, whether on TikTok or on Facebook, I mean, and through media, it's changing. Women are starting to see themselves that they can be strong, they can be powerful. We just need to change the finances. My advice to the younger athlete, just don't quit. Guaranteed you're gonna have tough times. Guaranteed we all have people that hate us, but we have people who love us. So focus on the good times, focus on what you're grateful for, and when it's tough, sleep on it, decide in the morning.